to talk about right now, which are kind of what are some of the things you can do to either keep yourself on track or get yourself back on track. These are not going to be mind-blowing. They're going to be things that you've probably heard before, but they're simple. So I really do believe that kind of getting back to the basics right now is so important. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, just in order to take care of ourselves. And I'm not talking about self-care. You're going to hear that word all over the place, and it means something different to everyone. So what I don't mean is self-care of like, oh, go take a bath or get a pedicure, all these kind of things that you can do for yourself. That's not what I mean. I mean true self-care, what you can do to take care of your mental health. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the most basic needs, which sleep, eating well, and moving your body. Okay, those are three very basic things that get thrown out the window when things get stressful, when you're in school, when you have papers due, you have midterms, you have tests, and those are the things that go, right? You might be eating junk food, not getting enough sleep, going to bed really late at night, getting up early to study. And some of that, I get it. It's just part of the deal. Sometimes you have to do that. But when we are really struggling, getting back to those basics, making sure you can get a little bit more sleep, nourishing your body, and moving will make a big difference. And they can be small things, just a couple more hours sleep, maybe taking a nap, eating a good meal, and then also movement every day, right? So that doesn't mean you have to be lifting weights, running, some strenuous exercise. I don't care if you put on music and you dance, if you take a walk, if you hike, if you do yoga in your room, whatever you love, whatever feels good to your body, incorporating that each and every day is going to be really important. And also I gave you a little taste of the breath work. That I think is another really powerful tool that gets talked about, but people don't always necessarily try it. And if you think about it, humans can go, I think it's about 3 weeks without food, about 3 days without water, but how long can you go without a breath? I don't know. I guess if you can hold your breath for a long time, maybe 30 seconds, but what's the reality, right? Is that we have to keep breathing in order to stay alive. So that is something so powerful, something that we need. And it's also a tool that we have. So we can use our breath work when you're in class, when you're with friends, when you're with family, and nobody has to know. So it's this tool that's always with you, right? A way to calm yourself when you're feeling anxious, a way to help pull yourself up out of depression. If you're feeling down, it's like this secret little tool, right? You can be sitting there in a meeting or in class and you can be breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth and calming yourself down and no one knows, right? But that's powerful that you can do that. You can control your heart rate. You can control your central nervous system. I think it's just a great little secret tool. So, and you saw how simple, there's much more complicated breath work, but something just really simple, like the breathing in on the count and the breathing out, that can do the trick. It can do the job. I also put together kind of a resource page. So these don't have to be big things. Maybe it's just getting outside to take a walk and getting some fresh air. I sometimes even tell people, if you don't feel like walking and you don't even have energy, even if the sun is out, if you can just get outside and sit down and close your eyes and let the sun kind of wash over you, or I don't care, lay down on the concrete where it's warm, something just to get in nature, to get some fresh air, just to break up the energy of all the hard work, the school work, and not to mention all of the computer time, right? How much time is everyone spending either on Zoom, just on your computer, on your phone? You're probably pretty much on a screen all day. So all of these little kind of calming, joyful activities, if you like art, you know, you can draw, you can color, you can paint. I just want you to start thinking about things that are not screen related to just give your brain a breather. Nicholas.
I actually, you were saying we spend all day on the screen, and I was actually like, well, my computer monitors how much time I have on the screen, and I look back to like the weekend of finals week, and it says I was using my computer 23 hours on Sunday, March 14th. So I think that's kind of crazy, but that's something that I had to do at some point.
Yeah. And it's hard to do. It's very hard to do because already technology was such a part of our lives. And now, instead of going to that class and being with your classmates and your professors, right now, all of this is on Zoom. We're doing this on Zoom, right? I'm seeing clients on Zoom, things that we weren't doing before that now require us to spend a lot more time in front of the computer. So it's going to become the norm, and that's okay. We have to go with it to get by with school and work and these different things, but it is pretty powerful to at least carve out some little time to just give your brain a break. Because when we're on these screens, it's a different kind of stimulus that we're getting, and it really is calming to our nervous system if we're able to just break that up for even 5 or 10 minutes throughout the day. It can really help. So you can just consider this a little reminder, because sometimes I know we forget. Inhaling and then the exhaling longer, that's actually the piece that slows down your heart rate. So when you exhale longer than you inhale, that slows your heart rate, which then sends the message to your brain that, oh, okay, I feel a little more peaceful, a little more calm than I just did 2 seconds ago. And then you keep doing it, and it keeps reinforcing in your brain and your central nervous system that, now we're more calm, right, than we just were a couple seconds ago. So if you ever hear people saying, oh, you have to exhale longer, that's the reason why. It'll slow your heart rate down. And I just did 1 second longer, because if you try to inhale for 4 and exhale for 8, I don't know about you, but it's really hard. So even if you just start with 1 second longer, that's pretty powerful for slowing things down in our body. So you guys, I'm going to talk about a couple of reasons that I think times are so hard for you guys right now, for your age range. I want you to chime in if there's something that I'm missing, if you think that that doesn't really seem right, or if you have an experience that I'm not hitting on, that you want to talk about, because I know there's so many unique experiences right now. So I kind of went through people that I know, my clients, things that I've read, what I've seen in the news. There were some statistics from what alumni had reported they're struggling with. So that's where my information is coming from. But I, of course, want to hear, what are the struggles? You know, the main struggles are financial and employment. Second is mental health. And third is loneliness and lack of connection. So there's a couple things that make that so difficult for your age range. You guys, a lot of you are just starting college. So you're already in a transition period, right? So you could be, you may not have a community or a tight group of friends. You're already in transition. And then the pandemic hits and you're home, right? Your classes are online, your professors are online. There's virtually no more human interaction unless it's over these funky squares, which is just not the same as being in person. I've also seen some college students who went to college and the pandemic hit and they had to come home. So they were so excited, right, to get to the dorms, to get out of their house, to do their own thing. And now they're back home. So for some people that might be okay, but for some people that might be a big struggle. It could be, maybe you have a lot of family members and there's not space in your house. Maybe you don't, maybe your family doesn't get along well. Maybe that's not a healthy environment or a healthy place to be. So you just went from having your own space, having to go back with your family, and there's some dynamics going on there. So that can be really stressful. Is anything else coming up for you guys that you're like, yeah, that's what I'm struggling with? Not being able to go out, not being able to see friends, not being able to get together, go to dinner, go to lunch, have coffee, just that lack of human interaction. So important for young adults, right? That's that is like the core of your life at this stage. So that's a big loss. Do any of you identify with any of those kind of situations? Like, yeah, I feel that, I'm struggling with that. I mean, the studies and science prove that when you are alone and isolated, immediately your anxiety goes up, your depression increases, and you get this kind of cloak of darkness where it's like your view of yourself, your life, the world, other people just becomes more negative. So all of us are experiencing that at once, right? It's like everyone went into isolation and now everyone has a bit more of these negative thoughts. So it's really that, isolation can be a dangerous place to be. If we don't do what we can to try to stay connected. What have you guys been able to do in order to stay connected with friends or try to not get too isolated? What have your strategies been? There is a lot of people that where it's like, oh, just kind of act like everything's fine and bury your feelings and, don't talk about how hard it is because you should be grateful that you're in school. Some people, maybe aren't even able to be in school. They don't have a computer. So, therefore you should be grateful for what you have and kind of stuff those feelings, any uncomfortable feelings or negative feelings, stuff those down. Don't show those. You don't want to be a negative person, or especially if you're trying to meet new people, right? We kind of want to put on our best face for making new friends. And so there really can be a disconnect of kind of how you're trying to show up and then how you really feel on the inside. And that creates a lot of stress, right? When we don't feel good on the inside, but we feel like we have to present that on the outside. That can also be really stressful if you don't have a place where you feel like, you can just let loose and forget about the people who are, do you guys see these people that like, oh, the pandemic, we have so much more time. Like, I'm going to learn a new language or, right, take an art class. It's like, oh my God, for the love of God. I mean, good for those people, I guess, if they're doing that. But for those of us that struggle, it just makes us feel like, whoa, what is wrong? What is wrong with me, right? Why can't I get out of my pajamas or stop watching Netflix or what other various things I was doing? It just, to normalize that so many people are struggling. I think that's really the norm, even if people don't show it. And of course, we have social media and all the other ways that people can portray how wonderful and how amazing things look when really they're not. So situations like this, workshops, places to just talk where